Chapter 8 The Odyssey. Odysseus fights the suitors and is recognized by Penelope. Finally, peace comes to Ithaca. When rosy-fingered dawn next shone forth upon gods and mortals, the suitors gathered in the great hall of Odysseus's palace. One gave the man of many schemes a gift similar to the one Antinous had chosen to give. He threw the hoof of an ox at Odysseus's head. However, Odysseus quickly moved his head aside to avoid it, and it hit the wall instead. Telemachus said to the suitor, "If you had struck the stranger with that hoof, I would have run you through with my bronze spear. Then your father would have to hold a funeral rather than a wedding feast for you. I want no more of this behavior in my house." Then the prophet Theoclymenus spoke. He had arrived from Pylos with Telemachus and was his guest. "O unhappy men," he cried, "what kind of evil sits upon you? Your heads are shrouded in night, and tears fall from your eyes. Blood spatters at the beams and the walls. Ghosts crowd the porch and the courtyard. An evil mist has veiled the sun, and in the darkness the ghosts hurry down to Hades' dark kingdom. This stranger surely is out of his mind," exclaimed one of the suitors. "We'd best take him outside if he finds it so dark in here." "I need no one to help me leave," Theoclymenus replied, "nor do I intend to stay. I see evil approaching all of you, and no suitor will be able to escape it." And with these words, he left the great hall. Penelope then appeared with Odysseus's great bow, his quiver of arrows, and a chest containing the ceremonial axes. "I am putting before you the polished bow of Odysseus," she announced. "I will marry whoever among you most easily strings this bow and shoots an arrow through the holes in all 12 axe handles." "Come, all of you," Telemachus encouraged them. "Surely I do not need to praise the prize of this contest. Even I will try the bow. I would like to be able to use my father's weapon." He jumped up, dug a trench, and arranged the axes with their handles upright in a straight line. Then he tried to string his father's great bow. When it looked as if he would succeed in his 4th try, Odysseus signaled to him to stop. "Obviously, I cannot do it," Telemachus said. "I am either too young or too weak. You are much stronger than I am, so it is your turn to try." However, not one of the suitors could string Odysseus's mighty bow. They tried warming it and waxing it, but nothing helped. One of the men complained, "I am sorry to lose a woman like Penelope, but there are many other fine women in Greece. What distresses me most is that not one of us is as strong as godlike Odysseus. Men to come are sure to think less of us because of our weakness." Then Odysseus, man of many schemes, called out, "Suitors of good Penelope, give me the polished bow so that I can see whether I still have the strength I had before my wanderings began and I had to start begging for food." Antinous replied, "Is it not enough for you to eat in our presence and listen to our conversation? What other beggar is treated so well? Besides, if you do manage to string the mighty bow, we shall quickly ship you to some other land where you will not fare as well as you have in Ithaca." Another suitor said, "And how would it look if a wandering beggar could string the bow that younger men cannot?" Wise Penelope replied, "You suitors have already injured your reputations by your behavior in this royal house. What more do you have to lose? This stranger is well born and well built. If he strings the bow, I shall not marry him. Surely he can have no hope of that, but I shall give him a set of fine clothes and good weapons to use in his own defense." Telemachus then counseled, "Mother, I am in charge of the bow, and I will give it or withhold it as I choose. If I decided to let the stranger take it away with him, no one has the right to stop me. This is a matter for men, not women. So I ask you to return to your rooms and take up your usual task at your loom." Penelope left the great hall, and the swineherd approached Odysseus with the polished bow and put it into his hands. Odysseus then quietly told the old nurse to bar all the doors. He picked up his great bow and inspected it carefully, testing it this way and that. Then, with no effort at all, he lifted the bow and strung it. As a man skilled in the use of the lyre easily stretches the string of twisted sheep gut around a new peg and then fastens the string at each end, so godlike Odysseus strung his polished bow. While Zeus, lord of Olympus, set forth a loud clap of thunder, Odysseus stood by his chair, set one of his arrows upon the string, and sent it flying through all 12 holes in the axe handles. Then the man of long suffering said to Telemachus, "See, the stranger you have fed and housed is as strong as he used to be, and he has not shamed you in any way. Now it is time to feed the suitors, for the sun has not yet set." These words signaled Telemachus, who armed himself with spear and sword and joined his father. Odysseus then tore off his tattered clothing and said, "The contest is over, but I have other targets in mind. May Apollo, lord of the silver bow, grant me glory if I hit the mark." He aimed his first arrow at Antinous, who was lifting a golden wine cup to his lips. The arrow pierced his throat. Terror filled the hearts of the suitors as they ran this way and that through the great hall, searching for the weapons that used to line the walls, but were now concealed in the storeroom. "You dogs," Odysseus exclaimed. "You were so sure that I would never come home from Troy. You sat there day after day for over 3 years, wasting my goods and wooing my wife without fear of gods or mortals. Now black death will come upon each and every one of you. You cannot escape." When Odysseus had used all of his arrows, he, Telemachus, the swineherd, and another loyal servant armed themselves with bronze weapons and continued the attack. But the goatherd, who was a loyal supporter of the suitors, brought arms to them, for Telemachus had inadvertently left the storeroom door open. Even weapons could not protect the suitors, for Athena now entered the great hall. Disguising herself as a swallow, she flew up to the roof beams and surveyed the battle from there. Thereafter, every spear Odysseus or his men hurled hit its mark, while the suitors' spears always flew far and wide off their targets. Finally, all of the suitors lay dead, and the floor of the great hall swam with their blood. Unseen by mortal eyes, Hermes then appeared with his golden wand, which he uses to awaken or put to sleep whomever he chooses. He awakened the shades of the dead suitors and led them all down to Hades' dark kingdom. As in the deepest depths of a hollow cave, bats fly about and squeak when one among them falls from the rock that they have clung to, so the shades of the suitors babbled to one another as the wayfinder led them down past the streams of Oceanus and the gates of the sun into the land where the shades of the dead live on forever.